Working with Rising Voices, the way it's impacted me as an artist is a little difficult to articulate. I'm an actress primarily. I do create, my husband and I sort of have a company together, or we create work together frequently. And so one of the things that's interesting to me about working with them, with the women in Rising Voices, is that nobody here has any training as an actor, obviously, or even as a writer. And to see how much of themselves they reveal and how bold they are in their revelation and in the way they allow the audience in on not only their personal stories, but on their struggle to get on the right track, is something that I, as an actress, that kind of level of humanity and honesty is something that I hold as one of the most important things I do as a performer when I'm on stage, is to tell the truth. And to tell the truth about the character I'm playing, tell the truth about the situation I'm in, tell the truth about humanity. Have a moment of revealing myself. And these women, with no training, no background, throwing them up on a stage with telling their most personal stories, can be more honest and more revealing about themselves than any actor I've ever known. And so it just inspires, I guess, me to bring even more of myself. And I had an experience with the last production we did in Found, where I've never had an experience like this in the theater. And I remember just talking about it for weeks after with my husband, that, you know, there was a part in the production where they wrote letters to people that they had harmed. Found was really about restorative justice, really incorporating the principles of restorative justice into the play we created. So who have you harmed? How did you harm them? What are you doing to repair the harm? And so each of the women wrote letters to people that had been harmed because of their incarceration. And during each of the performances, there was somebody in the audience, the actual person that they wrote the letter to in the audience. But it was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in the theater, especially the night when one of the girls wrote a letter to her daughter. And her daughter was sitting right in front of me and weeping and crying through the whole thing. And the actress could hardly read the letter. And, you know, it's bringing it all together. It's not only creating a piece of theater and a piece of art and sharing their stories, but giving that, that will affect her for the rest of her life. That her mother got up and publicly read this letter of apology to her. I have a belief about acting and theater. And, you know, when I have told people that I'm an actor before, they usually say to me, well, you must be a really good liar. And actually, I'm a terrible liar. And acting and theater is not about lying or pretending. It's about telling the truth. And one of the things that I think is so remarkable about the women in Rising Voices and what makes them such good performers is that they're at a moment in their lives where they're at a crossroads, right? And they're really having to decide what it is they want to do. I mean, this is a program for formerly incarcerated women. So all of these women have been in jail or juvenile hall and are in moments of their lives where they're deciding am I going to go to the left or am I going to go to the right? It's really a decision moment. And when they come into this program, they're in the middle of the struggle. They're in the middle of asking themselves what they want, and they want something more, or they wouldn't be in Rising Voices. Yes, it's a paid internship program, but it requires a lot of them, and I require a lot of them. So it's not just the paycheck that they're coming for. So you're getting women, these women in particular, in a moment in their lives where they're really having to really look at themselves and look at their behaviors and their choices. And they're in the program with me, and I force them to look at these things or encourage them in each class to be sort of confronting the things that have been holding them back. And those things, two things put together in combination with what I was talking about earlier, where these women can handle pressure really well. They're very good at, you know, dealing with a lot coming at them, and they can handle it. Instead of that making their nerves escalate and it's like the opposite of what happens for most people. They've gone through so much in their lives and their communities are so wrought where a lot of them are living with violence and you know, they're put in scary situations, and they're really good at capping that and moving in the direction that they need to move. And that's something that you need in the theater. I mean, you are on stage revealing yourself to, people, and they're staring at you and they're looking at you and you're talking, and you have to be able to handle that kind of pressure. And so what happens to most people, or a lot of people, and especially young actors, in that pressure is they hide. So they start faking it and they start pretending. And with these ladies, instead of hiding, they do the exact opposite, which is they start revealing. They start opening up in a certain way. They start to show themselves more in that moment. Because these women are amazing. Some of these women they're blowing me away right now with their acting. I'm really shocked. I'm teaching an acting class at a university, and those kids have training. These ladies do not, and they're going toe to toe easily. I mean, I'm impressed, and they've written 3 really good plays. I think it's going to be, in addition to the plays that we've done before with Rising Voices, where it's really a community-based thing and it's really about this restorative justice and people who are involved in, re-entry and, the criminal justice, trying to, fix the criminal justice system and whatever. We appeal, obviously, to that population. I actually think this is going to be a really good night of theater, where it's 3 really good plays, and they're going to be 3 really well-performed plays, and I think that it would appeal to the general theater audience as well. So I'm really excited to see how those 2 things are going to mix. Because, like I said, the last couple of performances are more sort of personal storytelling. It's a different thing. These are plays, and they're going to be really good.